Hello everyone and welcome back. I hope you had a lovely restful break. I just want to reiterate my thanks to the moderators, Jade and Melanie, for the last session and for the panellists for such an innovative, insightful discussion. It's great to see higher education is doing what it's meant to do and driving society for the better and bringing everyone with it. Education is a public good and should be publicly funded, and our states need to recognise that and invest. The abolishment of any student fees are needed at apprenticeship, undergrad and postgraduate level to truly make it accessible and inclusive for all. I'd like to carry on with our agenda and to start our second panel about how the European universities can foster skills for a green, digital and inclusive society. To moderate this panel, I will pass the word to my colleagues, Beatrice and Mark.
Of the conference, European Universities, Pioneering Transformation in Education, Research and Innovation. I'm Beatrice, an alumna from IPCA, the Polytechnic of Cava Dendave in Portugal, and a member of the European Students' Union Quality Assurance Students Experts Pool.
Hello, my name is Mark. I'm a student of Széchenyi István University of Hungary, and I'm the representative of the International Student Committee. I would like to inform you about the time limit. Everybody has about 5 minutes of speech time, and if the time is running low, 1 minute before the time ends, we will give you a warning, so you can finish your sentences. In this panel, our speaker will discuss the challenging questions of how the European University can foster skills for a green, a digital and inclusive society. We invited the head of the higher education unit of OECD, Thomas Weko, to launch this panel. So, Mr. Weko, can you please start?
Great, thank you very much for having me. Bom dia a todos. Let's see, there we go. I'm really pleased to have an opportunity to share with you a few reflections today about how European universities can help support a digital, green, and inclusive future. A few words about the context within which universities are working and this initiative is working. 4 aspects of this context. One, as you are all no doubt aware, you are functioning now and will within a global landscape that's changing rapidly. As you can see from this slide, by 2030, about 1/2 of all the higher education graduates in the world will be from Asian institutions in China and India. The locus of initiative in skill development, in research, and in innovation is shifting rapidly. Another rapid shift within which European universities are working and to which they must respond has to do with the way in which work is being transformed by digitalization. The digital content of jobs is changing dramatically. The share of jobs with high digital skill demands is rising. Those with low digital demands are declining swiftly. Even in a short period of time, we can see this occurring. And this implies that the European universities and the universities in this initiative have got to do a few things, one of which is to create graduates that have a digital fluency in their vocational setting and a capacity to continuously renew and adapt that fluency. Because in 10 years and in 20 years, right, there will be entirely new generations of a digital environment within which they're working. And it means also that the higher education institutions must be capable of generating specialists in disciplines that are entirely new, cultivating new skills, disciplines that did not exist 5, 10, 15, or 20 years ago. Here I provide a few examples of what these fields look like, whether that's Leria, teaching with fields in digital games and multimedia, or the Technical University of Munich, with programs in fields previously unknown to us, combining robotics, cognition, intelligence, or bioinformatics. This calls for swift adaptation on the part of our institutions. That's the digital requirement. And then there's the green skill requirement that you're facing. Just to casually pull some information together, I did a little Google searching to find that the rising frequency of the use of the term sustainability. Always Google is always good for that. And what we see is that, if we reflect on this for a moment, is that in fact, that term and the practice and the focus on sustainability is relatively new, right? We can see an explosive growth. This is in the case of publications using that term, but it's also, of course, changing the world of productive enterprises and the public sector and our lives in a very direct way. For higher education, that means combining skills in new ways. We're taking disciplines of climate science, psychology, engineering, and combining those, or challenged to combine those in entirely new ways, right? Examples of these newly emerging fields of knowledge include programs focusing on sustainability in food systems, what sustainable manufacturing looks like, and sustainable design, right? And institutions must be capable of providing these new skill combinations and doing so almost continuously. There is another challenge facing higher education in Europe and more generally across the OECD, and that is to finish and to continue the work of inclusion. If we're talking about the cultivation of new skills in graduates, we can see here, looking at this figure, sorry, not terribly easy to read, that there are significant share of households in OECD member countries, households with dependents, with children, have not completed upper secondary education. For example, here we see for France, 24% of parents have not completed upper secondary education. And in French higher education system, only 9.6% of learners come from households in which parents have not completed upper secondary education. And this, of course, rises as we see, as we look to the right, which is to say that the business of inclusion is unfinished. And that is a critical problem for the future as we attempt to cultivate skills broadly and equitably. So what is it that higher education can do to meet the skills challenges of the future? You're well aware of these. I think three things are real priorities. Opportunities for learners to seek out and combine knowledge from different disciplines in new ways. That may mean, for example, people in economics studying price theory and climate science, right, and bringing these different fields together, because we have to think about appropriate policies to support a green economy. It means that institutions must be continuously engaged in terminating, in rethinking, and creating new programs that reflect transitions that are taking place in our economies. And that requires a close link to firms and communities. And it requires institutions to be much better at meeting the needs of learners who are seeking upskilling and reskilling with new program design and new methods of delivery. As I was preparing for these remarks, I noticed a few interesting examples from your countries and from some of your institutions of these things already taking place. And here, for example, we see at Fachhochschule Vorarlberg, a really interesting example of flexibility for learners in an intermediate study program, which is really a learner-directed study program in which their research questions derive the specialization and the focus of their master level study. We see in the second example of program responsiveness and renewal, an example from Finland, where the Helsinki Metropolitan University of Applied Science, working with a technology firm, is engaged in web scraping and linking job posting data and information about the curriculum and skills of study programs, bringing those two things together in real time so that the institutions, the instructors, and the students can see the relationship between those two. Another example of promising initiatives comes to us from Ireland, funded through the Springboard program, We see the proliferation of blended learning, industry collaboration, and strong financial support for learners. This example is from Limerick, where we see programs in near zero energy buildings, smart factory technologies. This is what indeed needs to be happening. European universities are, I think, really ready to respond, and it is terrific to see support from the European Union for their initiatives in developing sort of future-oriented skills. National governments are going to need to support this as well. It cannot be left only to the institutions, and it cannot be left only to the EU. There is a role for national governments in creating a funding and legal and quality assurance environment that gives the institutions the kind of flexibility, the autonomy, the initiative they need to respond to these skill needs. Governments need to be supporting, national governments need to be supporting digitally enhanced teaching and learning. Mark will have much more to say about that and knows much more about it than I. There are good examples, and those should be ideally cooperative and institutionally led initiatives, an example of which is SURF in the Netherlands. And of course, governments need to be supporting new programs and new qualifications like micro-credentials that are well adapted to the needs of non-traditional learners. Good examples of that exist, for example, in Ireland through the Springboard program. So it requires institutions, it requires the EU itself, and it requires national governments working together to create the basis for European universities responding to skill needs. We certainly look forward at the OECD to the success of this activity, and we're pleased to support, as an associated partner of this project, through our Labor Market Relevance and Outcomes Project, the work of the RUN Alliance. With that, I turn over to the speakers of the panel, and I look forward very much to your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing these interesting ideas. I'm pretty sure it will inspire the discussion later.
To open the discussion, we would like to introduce Mark Brown, Director of the National Institute for Digital Learning, NIDL, in Ireland, and ask him, how is the Irish National Institute for Digital Learning strategy linked to the digital skills needs, and how could a European university's main strategies contribute to enhance the blended and online learning methods for the reskilling and upskilling strategies?
Well, thank you very much for that question, and thank you for the invitation to contribute to this very interesting panel. I think there are really two parts to the question. Firstly, what is our team doing to address the need for digital skills? And then secondly, how can European universities harness the potential of blended and online models of education to upskill and reskill for a digital future? Briefly, in terms of our own NIDL team, I'm going to share two examples. Firstly, we recognised early last year, at the early stage of the pandemic, that the challenge of developing digital skills includes today's school leavers and students more generally. We should not assume that just because a young person can post something to Instagram, Snapchat, or to TikTok, that they have the digital skills to be an effective online learner and lifelong learner. So for this reason, we designed and launched in September 2020 a free online course called the Digital Edge Essentials for the Online Learner. The aim was to support students to learn how to learn online, which we considered to be an essential life skill now. Notably, we recruited a team of students to help co-facilitate the course. It was a course for students by students. Almost 8,000 students have taken that course so far on the FutureLearn platform, with over a 50% completion rate, which is very high for MOOCs. My second example is a very recent one, and it also relates to a free online masterclass called Higher Education 4.0, Certifying Your Future. We designed this masterclass with the new ECIU University to help reimagine higher education 4.0 to meet the challenges and the opportunities facing us in response to Industry 4.0. Although we've only just finished facilitating the masterclass last week, you can still actually sign up and take a look or work your way through some of the core topics. The first topic explores the new skills agenda. And then the second topic, we take a really deep dive look at the growth of the micro-credentialing movement, which is very relevant, I think, to today's discussion. We've been doing a lot of work in the area of micro-credentialing as well as challenge-based learning as part of the new ECIU University. It really aims in the latter part of this year in the ECIU University to launch a suite of what we're calling ECIU Creds to help promote these transversal 21st century skills. Turning very briefly, I know time will be tight, to the second part of the question concerning new teaching models. In the next normal online blended, or perhaps I prefer the term hybrid, will be absolutely essential to upskill people for the changing nature of work and our new digital societies. Learning as you earn through flexible models will be a core feature of the future of workplace training and higher education landscape more generally. It's going to be, I think, one of the major legacies of the COVID crisis. However, right now, what we need is a better understanding and more professional development on how to fully harness the transformative potential of new digital technologies for teaching and learning. We know that when it comes to making good use of digital technology for learning, that creative growth mindsets are crucial, actually more important than digital skill sets. Digital skills matter, but creative and transformative mindsets matter most. If we want to produce more creative, innovative, and imaginative learners, workers, and citizens for a more inclusive society, then it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out that we need more creative, innovative, and imaginative educators. That's a prerequisite. New digital technologies can be used to deliver old wine in new bottles, or they can be applied in exciting new ways to produce truly delightful learning, more talented learners, and more active and contributing members of society. My key point is that learning digital skills by themselves isn't going to be enough, as we have to support people at all ages to learn how to learn online and learn how to teach online. This can't be left to chance, and it's why European universities right now have such a key role to play. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your great contribution and your interesting ideas that can be shared for sure by several higher education institutions. Let's now focus on the Portuguese context on digital enterprises needs and listen to Célia Reis, the chair of the board for Altran Portugal and the president of the Portuguese Coordination Council for Higher Education. Mrs. Reis, in your opinion, what do you think we could do to foster digital skills in our future society? And do you agree with the reskilling and upskilling supported by short programs associated with most European universities?
Yes, so thank you for the opportunity to contribute. One word, so Altran company is now Capgemini Engineering Company, a new brand that was launched last week. So all the rest, it's correct, it's totally correct. Starting to mention several and addressing the questions. There are already very good steps and measures in place. First, to boost the cooperation between academia and industry, and this cooperation is being set up through several mechanisms. I would say that on the R&D, I see more and more the cooperation between academia and companies, either through the collaborative labs that was an initiative set in place by the Portuguese government, and that Capgemini Engineering, we also set in place our own specific lab, a collaborative lab, together with the leading entities in Portugal on the R&D, focused on cyber physics domain, exactly addressing domains of the future. So either on the vision for the near future and accelerating the technology transfer from academia to concrete application in industry. So this integration is accelerating, but also on the reskilling and upskilling, the work of special, and I would like to highlight the work being done by the polytechnics, where they are today, and already not today, already several years, I would say that our first experience from a previous Altran with some polytechnics in Portugal, starting from 2015, and we really co-design the content of specific training programs. This is evolved, so we gave the example, showed that it was possible, and today there is a specific program in Portugal called Upskills, and in a nutshell, the polytechnics open totally to the companies, so to the industrials, and ask what are the skills that you need, by when do you, what are the profiles that you need, and by when do you need. So, and industrials, so the market, we have the opportunity to, and each circle of 9 months, so it's 6 months training in the polytechnic, plus 3 months that are performed already in each company. We have the opportunity to ask, I need these and these skills around the country. I can contribute together with the polytechnics, co-designing the content. So the industries are asked, and it must be like that, to contribute and to co-design. And afterwards, the good thing is that there is a motivation, either for people that left school, either for people that want to reconvert. The Portuguese government is offering a subvention that allow like a minimum salary, a minimum level of subsistence for people that, for example, they are unemployed, but they want to evolve, they want to develop complementary skills and get a new job, a better job opportunity. They can apply to this program, be evaluated, and if they are qualified, they have this 6 months training in the polytechnics, and they are subventioned during these 6 months, and afterwards there is also the engagement of the companies. If these people, once they conclude the training, they have success, they will be recruited for the company, and the market agreed with the government regarding the minimum salary that each one of us will be proposing. So I would say that the ground, this is a very innovating, I would say, a very innovating initiative that totally opens for the both academia, especially polytechnics, and industry, to partner in a very flexible and open way to meet what are the skills that we are critical today, but co-design for the skills of tomorrow, and have this rolling plan of each year we co-design what we aim to do, and what's more, short circles. I would like to console this regarding what is already done. What can be done still? What needs can be done? I would like to make 2 comments, if you allow me, then if I'm still in the time. First, the subject of the leakage between secondary education and higher education. It's a critical matter, and really, one of the missing points that I see, the academia, the higher education needs to integrate, needs really to build a vertical integration with the secondary. Why? People, they need to be motivated regarding fighting for their future. And sometimes, exactly when we are talking about social integration and recovering the ones that really are building their future, we need to motivate them that it is worthwhile fighting, invest, because their future will be bright. And in order to give them that glimpse, the academia, the higher school needs to come into the secondary, prepare them, motivate them, and show them what can be the next step. So this is one point. Second point is, when we are talking about a long life learner, we need to combine two concepts. One concept that is the formal education and the formal certification that the professionals had and that they build along their life, with the practical education, if you allow me to say that, the practical knowledge that they have acquired along the life. And once more, if we want to reuse the skills, the experience that the lifelong learner has built, we need to create also a flexible model to assess what is his experience, his or her experience in a specific field, and afterwards proposing what will be a flexible learning path tailored to the future that once more this professional wants to build. And this needs to still to be done. Final work. The pressure that the pressure that will be placed in all of us due to the technological disruption, and this is both for the companies, both for the academia. We need to cooperate. We cannot assume that each one of us will be recreating the future. We will not have the time. We will not have the means. And therefore, for me, it's, in my opinion, it is really critical that even at the academia level, when we are rethinking about the new content that need to be co-designed between academia and industry, this can be shared. And somehow I could imagine somehow having some kind of collaborative framework that would allow contents that are developed and created in Portugal be shared with Germany, with any, just an example, with any country in Europe, and vice versa, like we have a format of building and designing. Otherwise, once more, first, the effort of building and developing these contents will be huge, and secondly, we will not have a way to integrate. And this will be useful either if we want to work in network, either to support the mobility that is more and more a reality within Europe for young people, but not only. So these were my points. I hope that I was able to respect the time.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Reis. This, of course, is a great collaboration between the industry and the academia. So thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
It's relatively clear that we need to fill some community engagement and collaboration gaps that still exist in the universities. One of the most simple but efficient way to stimulate the bi-directional connections between the universities, businesses, and society is to put these facilities together in shared facilities. Companies and universities as an example of that, the Audi faculty in the Széchenyi István University. We have with us Timea Csanaki, the HR representative of academic operations of Audi Hungaria in Hungary. Could you please share with us how the Audi faculty contributes to the development of human resources skills required by the Audi in Hungary and abroad? And also I would like to know if the participation of Széchenyi István University in the European Universities Initiative would open new opportunities on the European level for all the skills needed.
Good afternoon to everyone. So first of all, I would like to introduce the relationship of Audi Hungaria and Széchenyi István University. Since the establishment in 1993, Audi Hungaria has developed into a large international company, which is located in the industrial area of Győr in 5.2 million square meter with 5 main activities. Powertrain production, actually the biggest of the world, vehicle production, tool factory, technical development, and shared services, procurement, IT. With more than 12,000 colleagues, we have the similar population as the Széchenyi István University with approximately 11,000 students. Corporate citizenship is important for the company, so we try to find all the possible meeting points in our surroundings. We mainly focus on recruitment of high quality, innovative young employees and further scientific collaborations. We are in contact with several universities in Hungary, of which universities GÖR is our outstanding partner. The formal cooperation started with the establishment of the Department of Internal Combustion Engines in 2007, followed by the systematic ramp-up of our joint activities, which led to the creation of Audi Hungaria Faculty of Vehicle Engineering in 2015, which now consists of 7 departments already. Our external department has the specialty belonging to the structure of the university, but using the competencies and real industrial environment of Audi Hungaria at the same time. It provides laboratories, workshops with Audi Hungaria experts in the field of Audi Hungaria to hold practical lessons for about 200 BSc MSc students per year. This close cooperation guarantees that the courses are strongly linked to the actual needs and trends of the industry. The students can already start working on their real industrial projects during their studies. BSc, MSc, and also PhD level dual education programs provide up-to-date industry-relevant knowledge for the students and also for the teaching staff and professors. The dual higher education program is a Hungarian benchmark, actually. It provides the BSc and MSc students 14 and 20 weeks of practical time per year within Audi Hungaria, with an expert mentor working on their defined projects. Approximately 60 Audi Hungaria colleagues mentoring dual students. The course contains materials, educational infrastructure, and cooperation possibilities are being improved and formed together continuously, adapted to the actual and future potential demands of professionals. Through the strategic cooperation, our company can recruit university students at the end of their studies as highly competent professionals with practical knowledge. The educational programs, approximately 80 Audi Hungaria employees participate as guest lecturers at the Széchenyi István University. They teach Audi-specific content tailored to the university curriculum. Audi Hungaria also operates extended internship programs for the university students, which includes currently 300 trainees. Today, 2,000 of the more than 12,000 employees at our company are engineers, and 55% of them come from University of GÖR. Currently, graduates in technical fields and also management skills are the most sought after. Throughout the Hungaria, the strategic cooperations also has a positive effect on Audi Group. German employees who stay in Hungary can continue their studies in English language programs, obtain a doctoral degree at the Széchenyi University. Furthermore, the results of the joint industrial scientific projects also support group goals. And answering the second part of the question, I would say yes, to an indirect way, definitely. The Audi Hungaria as a global enterprise highly appreciates and respects the intention of Széchenyi University to become an international institute. The university contributes with great efforts to create the opportunity for Hungarian students for learning abroad, and it also does the best for attracting foreigners to the university. The sharing of different approaches and attitudes are always increasing the development and innovation potential. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So to close this panel discussion, we have 2 business associations representatives, one from Finland and one from Austria. And these questions go to both of you. Do you think that the skills that we need for a green, digital, and inclusive society are also what is currently required by the companies of your European regions? And how do you think that European university strategies could help today companies' needs? I'll start with Juha Haukka, Managing Director of the Business Federation in Hame, Finland. Mr. Haukka, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. This is a very interesting question. And there was thank you also for speakers before me, because the ideas was really fantastic to think about for answering this question. I'm a man from the past, tries to see the future, because I have been working like last 2 decades with Federation for Finnish Enterprises. In total, we have like 115,000 companies involved. And I'm taking care of the regional office, serving like with 3,000 companies. So I'm answering the question through this experience. That's why I'm saying man from the past. But let's see, 20 years ago, it was thought that social responsibility, sustainable development, inclusion, and equality, they were things that big companies must consider, basically, only big. Need for this arose from pressure, behind regulation, pressure from consumers and pressure from society. This pressure affected the corporate image and thus the need to adopt under it. I think so. So it was all about image. Social responsibility and inclusion were just important fuels for communication, I think. It was the necessary content to polish the corporate image. At the same time, small companies saw these issues only as matter for bigger companies. Bigger companies' operation in the global market brought needs that smaller and local companies did not identify as necessary for their business, I think. So what has happened in a couple of decades? Waking up to see things totally the other way around. These are not things anymore glued on top on which can be used the force of communication. The speed of communication, the transparency of things, and the realization that the reputational risks can be destruction of business. They are drivers that have had 2 effects. Things must be real. 1. Because if they are not real, you will get caught as a scammer. Competition between companies is not just a direct competition for markets, share and the ability to increase shareholder value. I think competition takes place in the factory markets. The competition also targets capital and talented employees. This is reflected in practice in the need for a company to demonstrate a strong value base. It should value people as individuals, not because of their humanity as a factor of production. In practice, this means that the employee can influence his or her own work and work community. The employee must be able to feel equal regardless of his or her origin, age, religion, or status. In this respect, it's a question of well-being, but also of a culture that enables something new. This leads to another effect. 2, from assistant to manager. By this, I mean a big change of mindset. In it, green thinking and inclusion are no longer compulsive things or drivers that develop a corporate culture. They have become a business model that generates new businesses. This new business was not born of regulation or pressure, it's born of insight. The realization is that something bigger can be accomplished through each product. It's not just about values, it's about personal experience that service providers can support. For example, a company that produces pet food uses a byproduct, waste, generated in the production of fishermen with a new recipe. The end product is tasty, they say, and healthy for the pets, as well as ecologically sustainable. And in addition to this, it provides new added value to the entire business ecosystem. Or another example, the Finnish product Lunette Cup is an ecological product for periods. They have three approaches to their business, which are, I think, quite interesting. First, the process itself is chemical-free, 100% pure. Second, save the planet. It can be used again for years. Third, the stories. They promote inclusion and equality around the world. So, sustainable development, inclusion, and equality are not just horizontal goals in project papers. They shouldn't be. They are part of the everyday life of companies through the development of their corporate culture, but they are significant part of new businesses. Therefore, they are also accelerating the change. They accelerate the desirable change in which we must be involved, every one of us. Therefore, the question is not whether European university can foster the needed skills. The European university must be game changer, game builder, as educator of new knowledge and new seers, not just bystander of change and perhaps researchers of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Haukka.
On these same questions, I would like to listen to the words of Jimmy Heinzl, CEO of WISTO, Austria. Mr. Heinzl, please share your ideas with us.
So thanks a lot. I'm quite happy to be with all of you in this panel, and thanks for the invitation. I'd like to start with some basics of our region. The region of Vorarlberg belongs to the strongest regions in Europe regarding economic power and value creation. Responsible for that is a strong industrial orientation. Industry accounts for 30% of the value creation, and we have numerous hidden champions that are quite successful in international markets. And they predominantly reinvest the money which they earn in international markets back in our region. So by this, these companies are also an important trigger for the domestic market and the companies in this domestic market. So production is to some extent our core business, or in other words, I would say it's our business model. However, what we see is the following. If we want to safeguard the business model, we have to force a transformation towards a new green, digital, and inclusive economy. For us, this means, or in our context, this means first, a greener industry that is based on, for instance, circular economy regarding products produced, a major topic today in our region. Second, we see that a digital transformation is needed, especially in the way products are produced in our region. On the one side, highly automated, and on the other hand, also embedded in international value chains, which is quite important. Digitalization is a game changer in this field. Third, what we also see is an inclusive economy that guarantees equal chances for all and takes care for all the specific abilities available in our society, is also a means for generating more value creation. For safeguarding this development, we need specialists. So in the end, this is a human capital topic for us. The European University Strategy and the network, the University of Applied Sciences is in there, is the key for ensuring that this transformation can be managed, at least from a human capital point of view. Being part of such a community will foster exchange of students, we think, among the regions. Increase the image of the universities involved, attracting more young people. Foster mutual learning among different cultural contexts, which is especially important for a region with high international interaction. And will lead to better curricula, addressing these new challenges by the means of lecture exchange and so on. So what we see as a regional development agency is that this network will help us to do this transformation mentioned before towards a greener and more digital and more inclusive economy in our region. That's it from my side. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. This is the end of panel 2. I would like to thank everybody for their participation and have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to our moderators, Beatrice and Mark, for moderating such an interesting discussion, and to our panelists for all their contributions. We will now move on to our lunch break, and we will start back at 1500 hours Central European time.